Good morning, people. Good morning. Hope everyone's having a great morning, even though there's nobody in here, but that's okay. When you do show up, the same people that are always here, I hope you have a good morning. Oh, what's up, Rick? Good morning, fam. Good morning. Timothy, good morning, fam. Good morning. To put it simply, nothing good's happened this morning. What do you think about the Nasdaq today? I'll get into it. We can start there. Where am I? That's weird. My SMAs are no longer on the screen. I must have deleted them somehow. Speaking of, I should have under favorites, right? Oh, I have a lot under here. Wow. Yeah, we'll take a peek at the Nasdaq real quick. Actually, I'm already on it. Cool. All right, so let's see. Excuse me. So just like SPY, QQQ went into a buy signal yesterday or a long bias move over the 50 SMA. The patterning of, excuse me, the SPY and QQQ are very similar right now. Generally, that tends to happen when there's fear in the market. When there's fear in the market, everything pretty much starts operating the exact same to a degree, right? You know? So that's another thing to take into account is when fear is in the market, that fear spreads across markets and then they all kind of start to trade very similar. When there's no fear in the market and rational thinking comes to, then instruments start to kind of move somewhat independent of one another, and that mimicked patterning starts to evaporate some. Anyways, so that being said, when VIX is high, markets are fearful. Generally, you'll see QQQ look somewhat similar to that of the SPY a lot of times. Yeah, PPI news is already done. I didn't even look at that. I didn't even really pay attention to it. I know that the market, I don't even know what it did. I don't know, went up a little bit, came down a little bit. Been kind of focused on a couple other things this morning, pretty much until I've gotten on the stream. I really haven't looked at anything. I've looked at a couple penny stocks. There's nothing cool. So now here we are. All right. So looking at QQQ. So number one, yesterday morning, pretty much the first 5 minutes, the first maybe 1 minute. I don't know. Let's see. First, yeah. Oh, and the second minute of the day, QQQ broke over its 50 SMA. So if you look at it, I'll put it back on a 5 minute. Make it a little small. Yeah, so I mean, you can pretty much see it went into a buy move. So pretty much the way we think about this as far as swing markets, we would just say the stock market's bullish right now. Um, and that's pretty much it. Well, that's not it, obviously, but yeah, stock market is number one. It's positive, right? So it's we're in a swing long. So as I told you guys from yesterday, I'm long the stock market since yesterday morning. I'm holding some long UPRO right now, and I will pretty much remain as long. I will hold that long for as long as my emotions allow me, and or until I'm happy with the gain, or until I want to sell, or until the market tells me I should sell, whatever, right? So you're supposed to be getting long yesterday, essentially, as it relates to the SMA trend. So if you did that, thumbs up. If you didn't do that, you're now late. All right. So, so yeah, I mean QQQ. I mean, it's pretty much the same as a SPY right now as far as movement goes. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. What's it gonna do? I mean, honestly, I have no, I mean, I have ideas, but which one of my ideas will it pick? One of them. Which one? I couldn't say for sure. Like right now, like we can already see it's coming into 1 minute volume weighted average price support. So like right about here is some 1 minute VWAP stuff from yesterday. You might see like little scalp longs in that area. Probably is gonna happen. Um, but that's an important trend right there. So as we can see, so based off the way the market set up yesterday, like this would be an important zone to obviously hold, obviously, right? And it's not because that's where the pre-market low is at, it's because that's where the pre-market low was created, right? So if we look at the volume trend from yesterday, where the market went into an uptrend, so market goes into an uptrend there, we take volume weighted average prices and track the uptrend start level, and on the 1 minute, it gives us this price point here to price point here. Market opens up this morning, sells off right into VWAP, and creates the pre-market low for the day. Now, all of the retail traders that are looking at this move coming down are going, oh, it should bounce here because it bounced here before. All right. So we have essentially created the pattern this morning of the pre-market low that, then convinces other retail traders that the pre-market low is there, so that's support or whatever. That's the breakdown, because that's just how they operate, most of them. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so we're just going to keep looking long the market unless the volatility index tells us to do something else. Or I mean that's pretty much it. Yeah, as long as the QQQ and the SPY are above the 50 SMA, we're going to stay swing long the market. The only time we ever transition, the only time we would, I mean, yeah, that's it. Market's bullish, just stay long. And if I think we should be bearish, then I'll tell you. That's pretty much it. And when I say I'll tell you, that means the VIX has told me that I'm telling you, right? So the only times you would, so that, yeah, I mean, market's in a buy signal. We just flipped the SMA long yesterday. So you're supposed to be looking up, just like we talked about yesterday. Yesterday, we pretty much just said, look up and be long. It's going up. It's probably going to go up. Didn't really talk a whole much about downside. We did talk about pulling the market back to the 50 SMA because there was no confirmation yet, which we pretty much did yesterday. That was the only really pullback thing we talked about. But yeah, since the market flipped into a buy signal yesterday, we pretty much say go up, right? That's all I'm going to be saying for the foreseeable future until the volatility index or VVIX tells us to start selling the market. We're not going to do that. Or unless we open up on the day and every single stock in the stock market selling off, then yeah, I'll tell you not to be bullish in this exact moment. But that doesn't mean that the swing long is not intact, right? So you have swing market. I mean, you have a long-term market, a swing market, a short-term market. You got to differentiate between which ones A you want to trade, what matters when, and not to get those mixed up, right? And that's a very challenging thing for people to do because they see the stock market going down for 5.5 candles and like, oh my gosh. And then they get scared. And then the market picks back up and just starts rallying, right? So we are in a swing long move. All right. When we're in a swing long move, we just look up. The only times we look down are if in the short term all the market internals are bearish. Then yes, obviously market's not going to go up. Number two, if we're in a swing long, the only way we get bearish or try to stop the bulls from running up the market is if we start to see signals of fear, which I explain. This is, and remember, well, you will hear me repeat this every single time. My analysis, the approach, and what we say on stream never really changes. From buy signal to sell signal, it's the same thing. If market breaks up over SMA, we are long bias, swing long, watching up. We only start to be bearish if in the short term, for short-term trading, that's it, we see all the market internals are going down. Then, duh, the market won't be going up. Connor, you said it was a swing long market, but it's going down. Well, yeah, because all of the equities on the day are selling off. Just because we're in a swing long doesn't mean it can't pull back, right? So, first things first, market above SMA, go up, swing long market. If we open up on the day, all the market internals are bearish, things will go down in the immediate. We will then look to maybe be more bearish when it's a swing long market if the volatility index or volatility of volatility, VVIX, starts to break out. That would be two opposing arguments in the market. Why is the market in a swing long? And now fear is breaking out into a swing long. Two can't be true at the both can't be true at the same time for an extended period of time. One of them will have to correct. All right? And that's it. Or, sorry, third, or the stock market goes into a sell signal. So every time you go into a swing long, the only way the markets go down is if equities behind the scenes are selling off, fear starts to increase in the market, or the actual market goes into a downtrend. Learn to recognize those three things. And then it's the same thing in the opposite. When the market goes into a bearish sell signal, we look to be bullish in that bearish swing down market in three ways. One, in the short term, which is if it's a swing bearish market or a downtrend market and we open up on the day and all the market internals are going bullish, then yeah, we're probably not going to see the markets go down for the moment. Number two, if the market is in a bearish selling move, that means the volatility index has most likely been going up. So, if we're in a bearish market and then the VIX starts to break down and fear is starting to leave the market, then we may look to be bullish in a swing bearish market. All right. And thirdly, if the stock market is going in a downtrend and then it enters an uptrend, we will be bullish. So either market internals are bullish, VIX fear is leaving the market, we can be bullish, or if the market goes into an uptrend, we can be bullish. It's the same system, inversed, whether it be bullish or bearish in the market. You learn to recognize those three things, and you generally have a really good idea of how the market works, when it's going to change, why it's changing, see the news cycles before they happen, all right? Because that's what it is. Fear, volatility, right? Fear, VVIX, the anticipation of increased volatility in the markets. If comes to fruition, stock market tanks, obviously. If stock market tanks, everyone's going to be screaming bearish news, all right? What do we mean by market internals? Market internals are this. You can copy this exact same. I will copy and paste all of this stuff into the chat. You can, or wait, I can't. You can't copy and paste off this, so I could type it, but these are market internals. These are some of. There's many of. Actually, if I go up here and I go to, is it indicators or is it indices? It might be indices. No, it's indicators, sorry. Yeah, so if you go into indicators, right, these are all different, like they're basically just tickers, but it gives you like the up and down volume difference for the New York Stock Exchange, up and down volume for the Nas or the Dow Jones, right? You have advancing declining issues of the Russell, advancing declining issues of the Nasdaq, advancing declining issues of the SPY, and blah blah blah. The list goes on, right? So that being said, people and traders, which again, nothing wrong, I'm just saying, right, will tend to just look at a stock chart, the SPY, which I used to do myself all the time. I still look at just a stock chart, but also I look at just a bunch of other charts. Do you need all of these charts? I mean, not necessarily. I mean, there's plenty of YouTubers on the internet that will tell you that you don't need them, right? And there's plenty of YouTubers on the internet that don't even use them in trade, just like I did back in the day. So do you need them? Maybe, maybe not. They sure help me. And so that being said, you have the market internals. The market internals are the behind the scenes of what's going on, right? It's not looking at the SPY and going, oh, it's going up. It's like, well, yeah, you because markets can go up and then they can go down, right? So, for example, you could see the market internals where some S&P issues might be going up, but the Nasdaq selling off, the New York Stock Exchange selling off, all the volume in the market is going down, etc. What are the odds that the market keeps going up? right? So think about that. Think if you're looking at the SPY and you think you see what's a bullish pattern. So you're like, I'm going to buy this because it looks bullish. But then you go look at the market internals and you come to find there's actually nothing moving bullish in the market. You're buying into a false long. You're buying into a shitty long pattern, whatever. It's not good, right? So, there's that. How you use them is very simple in a sense, right? If the S&P issues are going up, well, it's not a lot. I mean, it's pretty much if everything's going up, market's going up. If everything's going down, everything's going down. If only a few things are going up and some are going down, it's probably a choppy market, etc. It doesn't take long to learn. What you should do is just put them on your screen, take the time to start looking at them. Granted, you could watch a video of mine, but again, that's literally all it is. It's you taking the time to sit and watch and actually absorb. My 5-minute YouTube video is really not going to do you any good because it literally is just that. If everything is going up, market goes up. If everything's going down, we're going down, right? To a degree. But yeah, I can make something. Or just keep tuning into the stream, and you'll see me talk about it enough, and you'll grasp it pretty quick. So sorry, that made it sound kind of annoying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come off. I guess sometimes you know you've already made so many YouTube videos, you feel like you've already said it 1,000 times. But anyways, like I said, it's just the same thing over and over and over and over, and it just repeats all the time. So. But yeah, I can make a quick little video on it. The most important thing really that you probably wouldn't figure out, if anything, is using a combined ticker. So you can type in a ticker and then the plus sign and a new ticker and plus sign and ticker and plus sign and will create one ticker for you. So this is like the most important, I don't want to say it's the most important one, but it kind of is. So this one is Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Nvidia, Netflix. I think I have Tesla in there. So like those are the ones I've chosen to pick. Is it the best combination? No, probably not. Maybe it is. Whatever, right? Because there's other major market cap stocks in there that matter. But we're really thinking about the ones that everyone knows about, everyone's thinking about, everyone's watching, has a heavy trading volume, things like that. Big market cap. That's Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Nvidia, Facebook, or Meta, I already said it. So, what we see a lot of times is as long as that's going up, the market is going up, or at least not going down, right? So there can be days where we have all of the S&P issues behind the scenes trading terribly, most of the issues on the New York Stock Exchange trading terribly. But we have like six stocks going up: Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Google, and the market goes up, right? So we have so probably like what was in the past or market internals, advancing declining issues, metrics, say 15, 20 years ago, arguably more like maybe more trustworthy, more reliable in its usefulness for decision making, but not really because it's just changed a bit. It's still very useful, still helps in decision making. But what I'm getting at is, back in the day when you didn't have trillion-dollar stocks that can influence the stock market, then yeah, like it was a collective aim of the advancing declining issues, right? Granted, you still had some stocks that had bigger market caps than other and had a bigger sway in the market as there always was and as there always will be. But now you have a handful of stocks that are like trillion-dollar companies, and literally if six of them have a good day and all the rest have a terrible day, the market's still going to go up. You know what I mean? So, there's kind of a slight disconnect from probably how the market internals functioned as a whole collectively 20 years ago, as opposed to how they kind of all fit together now. You know what I mean? Because it's very clear that there will be days where we have S&P issues going down, New York Stock Exchange issues going down, and the market's still going up. And so if you did not watch a combined ticker symbol of all the major market cap stocks, you would scratch your head all the time and go, this absolutely makes no sense. Whoever told me to watch this shit is stupid. Whoever even made advancing declining issues is an idiot. This is the doesn't even work, right? But there's just more to the story than that. It's the fact that there's literally like eight stocks, seven stocks that can run the market. So if you're not paying attention to those along with the advancing declining issues of everything else, then yeah, you'd run into scenarios where the market's going up but everything's going down. You're like, what? That makes no sense. Market's rigged. It's a scam. Yeah, obviously. But point being, you got to pay attention to those major market cap stocks. So yeah, we're basically at market open. Haven't really said a whole lot other than, market's in a buy signal and blah blah blah. But yeah, so market's in a long. Well, hey, get out, get back in your, go to your hole, get back to your home. So yeah, the market's in a long move. That being said, does anyone remember what we discussed yesterday? Probably not, because we always say a bunch of crap, right? Does anybody remember what we talked about when the market has back-to-back false crosses? Does anybody remember? That's not a rhetorical question. That's an actual question for the seven people here, if you want to answer. And if you don't, then I'll just say it and then maybe I'll forget by tomorrow. I'm not sure. Who remembers from yesterday's discussion our bias or mindset when we see things that we call back-to-back false crosses in the market within a short period of time? That's something I've made up. There's nothing in the academic world about that. All right, so one person did not hear it. That leaves six more. It means CNBC will change what the news is. Yeah, actually, that is true, to a degree, and we'll actually tie that into the real answer. But all right, seems like nobody remembers. Okay, so it's really simple. Let's do it again. Don't forget this. Again, please don't forget this. This is the reason I'm telling you this, because it's actually kind of important. So, ready? Back-to-back false crosses. All right, so a lot of times you just hear me talk about the market being above or below the 50 SMA. That's pretty much 95% of it. There's another thing that we look at, and that's the 10 SMA. Basically, if the 10 crosses the 50, it's a confirmed long. But waiting for moving average crosses is very much a delayed indicator. So that's why I don't really emphasize moving average cross as like bread and butter sort of trading. It's not. It's more of kind of like a slight confirmation thing. But anyways. So, real quick, I'll just get into this last one. Market's open. So, watch this. See how the 10 SMA goes over the 50 SMA there, and then it crosses back below here, and then it crosses back above here. The only way for that to happen is the market has to do this. Has to go up, has to go down, has to go up, has to go down, has to go up, has to go down, right? So, that's not a trending market. So, like right now, arguably, we're not in the most trendy-ish market, whether it up or down, right? Because what? Look at, ready? That's a trend down. Then the market breaks up and over, pops up, slams down, market crosses back below, then 10 SMA back up. So what we're seeing is false breakout, false confirmed long, false confirmed short, false confirmed long. Now there's still a good long, there's still a good short, but it's not trending. It's short-term activity up and down, up and down, up and down. So when we see the 10 SMA crossing above the 50 SMA, like you've seen here, back to back within hours to days, then that's usually a choppier market, a less optimistic market. So always keep that in the back of your mind. So like right now, I'm still not necessarily 100% sold that the market is just going to turn into a beautiful trending long. I hope it does. And the market always does what it wants when it wants, but that's something I pay attention to, right? It's back-to-back false crosses, right? When we see that, you're more likely to see kind of markets do this sort of jam for as long as it takes them to not do it. And you don't really know exactly when that's going to be all the time. Well, actually, you kind of do because when you get back-to-back false crosses, generally, actually, what we do is we take the high and we take the low of when that sort of scammy cross stuff starts happening, and then we know the trending market's going to happen above or below that high for the moment. So we pretty much considered everything below that and above that to be still a chop environment, and if we get outside of it, then we'll go back to trending to a degree. Not always work perfectly, but that's kind of the gist. So. We're going to use that high low now as a range point for potential new trending movement. Other than that, everything inside of that range is just to be used as basically a ping pong market. That being said, we're still long bias, right? We are long the market. We've been long since yesterday. Why? Because in the short term, the market is positive, right? It's over the 50 SMA. So what are we doing? We're looking up. All right. We're looking up until when? Until all the market internals on the day are bearish, or until the VIX tells us to be fearful, or until we see the market actually flip back to bearish, right? So until the market gives us legitimate signals to actually be bearish, then we're just going to go up. Now remember, those signals to be bearish can happen at any moment, right? Donald Trump can come out of the White House butt naked from dementia possibly in the next week and a half, and no one would have saw it coming. Or well, someone would have because it probably would have bought puts right before and made trillions. But anyways, weird things can always happen, like Donald Trump coming out of the White House butt naked, right? And then every single news station is like, "Oh my God, he's got dementia. The world's gonna be over," and the market goes down, right? Who knows? All right, so now that everybody in our chat knows that we are bullish and the market is bullish for the moment, then that should clear that up. Um, and yeah, how do you trade it? I mean, heck, my buddy Brandon knows how to trade this stuff far better than I do in the short term. But how do you trade half the stuff I teach? I mean, well, for one, you're supposed to be long yesterday. That's where you're supposed to start being long. So if you're trying to get long today, in relationship to the SMA system, I mean, you're super late. So now you're kind of in that, well, it's got to go up. You hope, well, it's always got to go up if you want to make money, but you're just slightly more elevated on your risk, right? That's all. How about once market flipped 50 SMA, wait for retest? Yeah, that is a rule of the system and it is a rule of the strategy. That rule may not present itself in trading action every single time around, but it is a rule that you look for and it is a rule that you follow. But just because it's a rule and it's something that we see often within the system we are teaching here, it doesn't always mean it's going to present itself each and every buy signal. Sometimes the market will break out and just go, right? Um, in general, asking in general, how about entry? Yeah, so yes, that's another good entry point, but um, there's a couple ways to answer that. But, but yeah, so we had the retest yesterday, actually. So I'll cover from yesterday. So let me go into a pre-market chart here. Hold on real quick. Let me just flip through these penny stocks, see if there's something moving that we can trade before we miss something. And I'm all like, I'm an idiot. I should have paid more attention. Hold on. Actually, I don't know. Maybe that could be something. I don't have to wait on that one. Let's see. This started just popping up right before the open, huh? Yeah, kind of. I don't even know. Yeah, all right. That's something. Nothing's. Whoa, what is this? Damn it. See, I even looked at this one today. I'm like, that's got an interesting look. Hmm. Ooh. Oh, for sure. That's got to be a decent one. I don't know if it's going to be a for sure, but it is decent. Um, yeah, I'm going to try this AUTL. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna try some AUTL. It's okay. It's not a great like anything yet. It might, and the risk is pretty limited, so we'll see. But there's other ones that are kind of moving that might also be good today. Hold on, let me look again. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna try this one too. Gonna try some LNAI here too. I'm looking at this ICON as well. ICON's got a kind of an interesting look to it. It's in an uptrend over the 30 minute, but it's below the 4 hour. So it's kind of like if the 4 hour breaks out, then it might do something, but I just am not quite sure yet. LNAI is like right on support. So it just depends if this stock really wants to hold support and be manipulated higher, or if it's just a junker that I picked for the day. I don't really know. What is this? Um, what is this guy? And then this one here. And you know what? I think I'm gonna take some long on CETY as well. I'm really late to that one, so I'm not gonna buy a ton, but it's just got a decent look to it. We'll see if it works. Yep, so these are all three of them, or I think I've covered three now. So these are the three, so CETY. So again, I'll just cover these real quick. So pretty simple. Stock went into an uptrend this morning at one, well, hold on. There's more to, well, yeah, I guess there's two levels there. So CETI is one here that I took a little bit on. Again, it's kind of already, we're a little bit late because the uptrend started there. So that's where the uptrend started. I'm just looking at the pattern. It looks kind of good. I don't know. We'll see. So I took some risk. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, don't really care. We'll be back tomorrow. So there's this one, went into an uptrend, pretty straightforward, right? So there's that. What's the other one we were looking at? Wait, hold on. Let's see. Is it ICON? No, that's a maybe. AUTL. So this is another one that I added a little bit on. Let's go full screen. I gotta map off the levels. So there's that. And right there. So guess we'll bring up on this one. So AUTL. All right, so we know that AUTL started an uptrend over the yellow. So this is the yellow slash yellow. So that's an uptrend. So there's your uptrend. And then at the open, we are still above. So arguably that's support. So that would be nice if that ends up working. All right. And then last one is LNAI. So bringing up LNAI. So LNAI, same exact thing. Kind of, well, yeah, really, it's the 30 minute here. So if you look at LNAI, so LNAI went into an uptrend here at the price of $1.36. So essentially, as long as LNAI, as you see here, holds $1.36, right? There's your uptrend. There's the back test, and we're just holding above, right? So if that support ends up holding, they rally it up. Awesome. If they don't, then and then remember, any trade that we follow on this system pretty much means if it works, great. If it doesn't, then the market's going to revert back to the yellow line. So that's always the risk. So whenever you see me watching trades, it's all about is something close to support, etc. It's less about is this going to be the best trader for the day? It's more about what's the risk on the play. So this could form up into something good. I don't know. I don't control the market. People manipulate the stock market. So it's basically like if you pick a stock that ends up getting manipulated slash a bunch of volume on the day and then ends up working, like great. If you didn't, then just is what it is, right? This is the market. But this one essentially limited risk because if it ends up not working, then it's just the failure points right there. It's not like you're looking at this go all the way up to here and like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this, it's gonna be great. And then you're like, oh shit, there it goes down, like so that's a 20% drop. That's a from the highs. So ready? So someone who bought the absolute high at $1.70 that doesn't follow the system had no idea that it had essentially 20% downside risk there from that high, right? So me here, whoa, grabbing this long, whoa, there's a lot of drawings going on there. My risk here is 5%, right? So I've taken 5% risk on LNAI by involving myself down in the low near the support. So if it fails, that's a 5% loss, arguably, whatever, right? I'd much rather take a 5% than a 20%. That's the point. So yeah, there you go. All right, stock market not really doing a whole lot. So this is we're gonna tie back into where you're talking about market internals. So right, look at the market internals for whoever was asking questions or wanted to know this morning, right? Geez, think or swim. Like I hate that you just don't do what I want you to do when I want you to do it. Enlarge, enlarge. Okay, maybe not. Sounds good. Or freeze. Perfect. Lit. All right, so look at the market internals. We saw them go up and now they're going down, right? All right, cool. Now, what about the Magnificent Seven stocks here? All right, so the Magnificent Seven stocks haven't really gone up today. They haven't really gone down too much, but the pattern is predominantly down. If you look at the formation, big red candle breaks below previous day's closing area, rolling a little bit down doesn't mean it has to go down. Again, the market can do whatever it wants. It's just visually you can see exactly what's happening, right? To those handful of stocks collectively. All right, come over here. What do we see? You come to the advancing declining ages of the New York Stock Exchange. They started up and now rolling over. All right. And then if you look at the volume for the market down here, the volume for the market started up a little bit, rolling over. Now let's look at the pattern that's forming on the stock market today. All right. So now let's go look at what's happening. Oh, so the market pretty much did what? It started up and now it's rolling over. So the exact pattern that you're looking at, the S&P 500, is pretty much that of the market internals today. They're giving us a clear picture. The market is not really bullish since the open, right? Or you don't have to guess, right? The market is not very bullish right now since we've opened. Yes, we're in a swing long market. We also know the market's been doing back-to-back false crosses for the past couple days, which dictates choppiness, which dictates not as likely to have great follow-through. All right. And we know that the market internals, since the open, have not been screaming their head off saying buy the market. So, yeah, you're not seeing a very bullish open today. And that's okay. Totally normal, right? There's nothing about what's happening that can't be seen, right? It's all there. Now, if you sit around looking for bull flags and bear flags and head and shoulders and cup and handles and little tea parties, then yeah, you probably end up being very confused, which is what the market wants you to be, confused. That's why you're taught patterns and bull flags and bear flags first. That's why all the ads a lot of times will be just learn a couple patterns. Well, maybe not all of them, but at least when I got into trading, that's pretty much what it was. But again, that's why you're going to see like, the popular YouTube videos be like pattern trading, right? Because that shit doesn't work. So yeah, that's the market, and yeah, you can wait for a back test of the 50 SMA, but generally speaking, if it's a strong bullish market, markets aren't going to back test the 50 SMA. If it's a weaker trending market, then you're more likely to back test the 50 SMA. But if it's a weaker trending market, then the back test of the 50 SMAs may not lead to a great long. It might be a false bounce, right? So that's the thing is generally speaking if the market's strong, it's going to break the 50 SMA. It might do a short back test, but ultimately it's just going to go, right? Now, obviously markets are not perform. Hold on, let me do this. Yeah, so we have the FANG going down, Magnificent Seven going, FANG, major market cap stocks going down, SPY going down, New York Stock Exchange going down, advancing volume of the market going down. Market's not going to go up right now. It's obvious, straightforward, like dur. You know what I mean? Like, so, like that's what I was saying is this morning, what did Connor say? Oh, it's a swing long market. We're just going to look up. We're just going to look up. Unless what? Unless one of three things. We open up on the day and all the market internals are bearish. We're not going to look up. Market's not going to go up. So what we're seeing is basically scenario one of what we talked about, right? Remember, I told you it's going to be the same thing over and over and over and over. It's never going to change. You will hear me repeat the same thing every single time. That's the beauty of it. And that's arguably the beauty of this stream is you can come in and have confidence and know that what I'm going to say and what we're going to teach and what we're going to do is going to be repeated every single day and we will not waver from that. There might be some additions here and there and some little quirks but it's all going to be found the meat and potatoes of it, the foundation of the system will always be the same. It's always going to be repeated. The rules are not going to really change, right? Hence the point being, the more you watch a stream or the more you tune in, the better you should understand this system and then also know that it's not complicated and the rules don't really change. I'm not telling you to look at a bull flag one day and then go, oh, well, maybe if the bull flag formed up, then no. No, it's market goes into uptrends and downtrends. And then when you're in an uptrend and a downtrend, you have three things to really pay attention to that's going to give you the bigger picture to a degree, which is market internals, volatility, and trend, right? So we're in a swing long since yesterday. Market went up all day long yesterday, great long. We opened up today, looking for the continuation, but the markets don't want to. Why don't they want to? Because clearly they don't. So far, the Magnificent Seven are selling off. So far, everything in the New York Stock Exchange is selling off, and so far, all the issues on the S&P are selling off. Well, no shit, it's not going to go up. And whatever bull flag you think you're seeing on your 1 minute chart ain't legit, fam. The market's going to go down right now, right? So what we're seeing is scenario one of why markets would arguably go down when the SMA trend is positive, right? So there you have it. And the reason that I'm teaching you the market internals is because when I first started using the system, by the way, LNAI is doing pretty good. What else did we put on CETY? Oh shit, I'm already up for 17% on CETY. That's lit. All right. Well, anyone who has half a brain knows that when you are up 17%, you probably should take a little off the table. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm closing some on CETY, keeping some on CETY. My AUTL is also positive, so every single position we've put on has worked. So that's a that's a great start to the day. So let's see, AUTL, I'm only up 3%. But even still, not bad. Um, so even just being up 3%, it's a decent long. It's not great, but it's also kind of, you can just tell it's not really meant to be a super fast mover. Probably has a higher float. Not that I haven't even checked the float. I'm just assuming, and it's probably the case. LNAI doing okay. What is that up again? That one's up. Wait, that one's up 4%. It's not bad. Not bad. Gotta take some on LNAI because that's just smart. You know, Good little Popper Magoo. All right, so I've essentially de-risked on everything. I've made money on everything, and now if they continue going, great. If they don't, then I'm probably not going to lose. So that's good. CETY now up 25% on my position. That's lit. You gotta love those bull flags. When those bull flags come around, you just gotta buy them. Has nothing to do with going in uptrends or downtrends, folks. Gotta love it. Alrighty. So yeah, anyways, that's this morning. Markets are gonna go down. Actually, shit, I forgot. I have UPRO. Yeah, see my UPRO position that I added into yesterday just went red because I wasn't paying attention. What's to do now? What's to do? Is this the moment I just take the small red, or do I try to average it into a day trade and then reverse a red? Or do you just do nothing and just wait? Decisions to be made. Decisions to be made. Decisions to be made. So yeah, let's see if there's any other penny stocks that are moving today that make sense to trade. Because so far I picked three winners. Um, Everything has gone up since our suggestion of, not even suggestion. I didn't suggest anything actually. I don't ever suggest stocks. I just tell you what I'm looking at and what I'm basically buying and why. And if it works, great. Like I said, for any stock to work, you basically just need the market to manipulate them higher. You really don't control it, right? If the market on a stock or if a stock goes into an uptrend, it's in an uptrend. The only way that uptrend's going to work is if people just buy the stock. Now, granted, retail can buy in, they can help things go up, but it's really computers and algorithms behind the scenes. So when I say you just need them to get manipulated up, I literally just mean you better hope that there's a good program that's been put on that stock for the day. That's pretty much it, right? You're basically hoping that, the magical wizard that rules the stock market's like, today's the day we put an algorithmic buy program on your stock and it go uppeth. That's it. That's literally what happens. And it's, is it because of news? I mean, sometimes, but if but at the end of the day, it's like, company can release news, but if there's no algorithm buy program put on the stock, it's not going to do anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, retail can move it sometimes, but at the end of the day, it comes down to bidding and moving markets and stocks. And then again, at the end of the day, you and I don't control that stuff. So, you just do your best at picking things that look decent, somewhat low risk, entering an uptrend. You just hope a buy program goes on them, and that's it, right? So, like, CETY is up. Holy shit. Or no, oh, I was looking at the change for the day. I'm like, holy shit, I'm up 126%. That can't be right. No, that's from the whole day. But I am up 27% on that one now. And oh wait, I'm up 16% on Fox too. Wait, yeah, I swung traded Fox. Shit, today's actually a pretty good day. Everything's pretty much working, so that's fun. Hopefully it continues that way. Yeah. So I don't know. Bitcoin, what a shithead, you know? Can we just go back to the days where Bitcoin would always go up? Probably not, because we're in a bear market and we're supposed to be in a bear market, and we already all know this, so. All right, let me take a look at the market because something actually may have happened during the time I was dilly-dallying around and everything. Did we hit the 50 SMA? Did we pull back to the 50? We did not pull back to the 50. Did we pull back to the buy signal VWAP trend of the market? Let's see. That one I bet we did do. So let's see. Yep, we hit the buy signal trend. So we did come into a VWAP support over under. So that's a tradable area for a bounce. I'm wondering if I should have been adding that dip. Probably. You know what? I will. And if the market goes down from here, then I don't really care anyways. So it's all good. So I'm actually going to add some here because we did hit support pretty good. Um, and it's working really well. So I'm going to add a little bit there on UPRO. So I added a couple more shares, UPRO, swinging it up. Whatever. If the market goes down, it is what it is. But yeah, ultimately, whenever we hit a volume weighted average price of a buy signal, generally you're going to look to be bullish before bearish. And then, pretty much the way this is going to work is if we yeah, I mean, it's really like, so this was, and I remember it was maybe Lays Dibis guy, not what? Yeah, 9374, your username. You asked me if we should wait for a back test of the 50 SMA, right? So if we're waiting for a back test of 50 SMA, you'd be waiting for a long entry down here. Something that I pay attention to is what I call volume weighted average price buy and sell signal VWAPs, which can come into play before the 50 SMA, and many times we will use that for a support. So it just so happens today, and I wasn't paying attention to it when it happened, but it's always in the back of my mind, part of strategy, right? So we saw this market go into a buy signal, now it's pulling back. VWAP support right there. This could get picked up, and then we could take the market higher. If we start to go below this, that's where I consider going back down to the 50 SMA. That's all like extremely detailed strategy that I've layered on top of the SMA system. So a lot of the stuff that you see me do too has nothing to do, well, not nothing to do, but it's not the SMA system I teach, but it's all has to do with it. It's all kind of a piece to the puzzle of the SMA system. So this VWAP tactic you're seeing, it's still derived based off the system, right? The system went positive the other day. So now we're tracking the VWAP of when that flipped positive and using it as a dip support in the uptrend. And hopefully we go higher from here, right? If we're wrong, then one of the things we will end up seeing is if this VWAP doesn't hold, we get acceptance below, then the market a lot of times will then drop back down to the 50 SMA. So I'm not quite looking for the markets to go to the 50 SMA yet, and that's because we're still above the volume weighted average price of the current swing long, right? And so now if we were to zoom in on the SPY at that specific level, this is what it's going to look like, right? That VWAP support. It's always a level I watch for support. So just because I wasn't paying attention initially today doesn't mean I don't think about it, right? But this right here is what we would call our Buy signal. Buy, oh shit. Buy signal. VWAP support. Over. Under. If hold, yay. If not, nay. Right? Something like that. But so yeah, if we hold that level, then that basically means the swing long's just fine, right? But a lot of people would be scared today of this drop and think, and just like for a second, remember, I'm like, should I sell this? Should I just wait and do nothing? Should I maybe add more? You could see my brain was starting to go, well, wait, hold up. Like we're going down. Is this going to be something serious I got to think about? Like, should I be selling? Should I be buying more? So you could see how my psychology was starting to kick in there. I'm like, wait, hold on, right? And I was weighing my option. I'm like, do I sell what I have because I'm a little red? Do I average it down into a day trade? Or do I do nothing? So I ended up doing nothing for a second or two. And then I was like, well, hold on. If we're pulling back, but we haven't broken down the 50 SMA and we haven't hit it, and we're starting to bounce, that means we could arguably be bouncing the buy signal VWAP. And if we're bouncing the buy signal VWAP, that means I should be going still holding long and even adding long. And that's why I just told you, hey guys, I'm adding a little bit long because it's triggering part of the strategy that would tell me to stay long and buy more. So I'm doing that. And now if it works, great. And if it doesn't, oh shit, that sucks. I guess we'll just repeat this until I die in another day and in another week. But if I don't buy too much, then it doesn't really matter, right? Because then I can't blow my account. I can't not make my mortgage payment, right? It's if I risk too much money and think I'm so smart that I can just become a millionaire and bajillionaire on every single trade, then yeah, I can get into some trouble. But if I don't do that and I listen to my systems over and over and over and over and over, and repeat them with appropriate risk, then yeah, we're probably going to do pretty well and we're probably going to win. And you guys on the stream are going to have more fun than you would if you just, watch YouTube videos about bull flags. On that note, I'm going to go get a coffee. I'll be back. All right, sorry about that. I'm back on here, yo. We are back on, baby. All right, so let me see. Is there anything else, any penny stocks moving and grooving right now that I can see? Wait a second. Way to win a tick. Actually, I think I might have another play for us, but we gotta wait. This one we're gonna have to wait and just see if it's. I could see a setup that could potentially come. Probably not the greatest one, but it also could be good. I've seen them turn out okay from time to time. So there is a setup we're seeing potentially, but we're not quite at a buy point that I like. So gonna have to wait. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if I'm gonna trade that one. Probably just gonna use it for a learning example today because I just don't. I don't know if I really. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so we have bound support. We are now coming back down. It's just going to go down to the 1 minute volume weighted average price, which is right there. I was getting ready to add that a second ago, but then looked at another stock. But anyway, so basically this is the VWAP. So no, what's funny is this whole bounce that we're doing right here, this big bounce was a 30-minute VWAP. So we basically bounced the 30-minute volume weighted average price up, and now we're looking at the 1 minute volume weighted average price of that bounce, and it's right there. And now we've effectively reset that 1 minute bounce, which isn't good. Typically, you would want to see the market move upwards more than that for the long to kind of persist. That's kind of janky. Wouldn't be surprised if we just go back to the low of day. It's probably going to go back to low of day, but I hope not. I really hope it just gets picked up and keeps going, but we'll see. But I guess we don't really have to question it. Why? Because we can just look at the market internals, and all the market internals currently in this exact moment are red, so that's not good. Um, but we do have an oversold tick market, tick C. Hold on, let me think. Yeah, no, probably down. The market is absolutely booming today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and squirrels. Do you guys like it when I call you squirrels? Well, actually, that would actually be false because I call you guys boys, and theoretically, I call the girls squirrels. So that's not good. That is not good. Not, not good, folks. But we should take a look at the VIX here this morning because we haven't really done that, and I'm curious. Okay. So, still got some on CETY, still got my Fox position on LNAI. So I'm about 3% on CETY, so it tells me that long move is starting to slow down, obviously. So we went up from like 20 something percent to like whatever. I don't even know at this point. Hmm, what's to do? What's to do? Well, it's still above the 1 minute 50 SMA, so maybe I'll just let it chill for a sec, see if it ends up picking up support off the 1 minute and go from there. All right. Well, let's get back to ye old Marky. What about LNAI? LNAI still up about a couple percent there. Fox is pumping, dude. Let's take a gander at that guy. Or okay, it's really not pumping, it's just doing its thing. But let's see. Yeah, it's working. Can't complain. See, like you can even see here, there's got it's got like one of those flag. Wait, hold on, let me redo this. It's got like a flag pattern on this kind of. All right. So, like I said, I don't really pay attention to patterns, but you will recognize them the more you find uptrends, right? So, like you can see this is a flag pattern, right? So the market was down, it was bearish, right? It breaks the 30 minutes, so that's a bullish uptrend, and then you get like this, like almost like a inverse head and shoulders flag setup, right? Again, I don't I like you don't I don't even look for them. You just end up finding them when you kind of start looking in the right places, if you will. Like again, this is an uptrend. So is a bull flag supposed to be bullish? A cup and handle supposed to be bullish? Yes. So when are you more likely to see a bullish pattern set up? When things go into uptrends, right? That would make more sense. Like if something's in an uptrend, that would be a bullish move. I'd be more likely to see bullish pattern development, obviously, if things are going bullishly, right? So that's another thing, right? When you start to spot the correct uptrends, then you'll start to see patterns a little more frequently. Again, but like I wouldn't look at this and be like, "Hey guys, you're supposed to buy that," right? Like, no, do not buy that. You have no idea if it's going to work. You have no idea if it's going to get pooped on. Um, just like I don't know when a market goes into an uptrend, is it going to remain in an uptrend? No. But I'd rather be buying as close as I can to the uptrend start or the pullback to the support rather than buying the high of a pattern that may break out, right? That's just dumb. So again, any YouTube video on the internet that basically goes, "Hey, here's a bull flag and buy the breakout," just cancel that YouTube channel. Which basically means you could cancel my first YouTube channel. So that would like be me, like a couple years back or whatever, 8, 6, 7, I don't know. But yeah, so like you could basically cancel at least 70, maybe 70, maybe like 50% of my first YouTube channel. So I'm one of those YouTubers you should be canceling out from like years back. So yeah, don't don't look at my old YouTube channel, watch any of my old YouTube videos. There's no point. You'll be led astray to a degree. You'll learn good stuff, but it's not going to be what really gets you to the next level. It's just going to keep you a baseline where the market usually wants you anyways, right? The baseline, never really getting too advanced, just always in the searching, always reading the news, you know. You're never gonna get to that next spot, essentially, by watching 75% of YouTube videos on my first ever YouTube channel. Granted, that's probably why it was very popular at one point. Because the system was like, oh, this is perfect. Dude's gonna teach you how to not correctly buy a bull flag. Perfect. Send it out far and wide. You know what I mean? I was kind of disappointed about yesterday. I made some money yesterday, and then towards the end of the day, I came back to my computer. I was going over some emails, and I thought I saw a setup that was good, and bought a little too much, and then it just didn't work. And then I gave back the money I made yesterday and lost a little bit. I was like, well, that was kind of dumb. Well, it's always tomorrow, I guess. So yesterday was the first time I kind of took on like a little too much size. I haven't done it in a really long time, just because I thought the setup was good. I ended up not working. I don't even remember what it was. Oh yeah, it was some shitty penny stock that sold off too much. I'm like, it's probably got a bounce in it. No bounce. I'm like, probably could have saw that one coming from a mile away, but it was like just that psychological moment. Like, I'm smart enough. I can pull this off. Just if my levels are good enough, even if it's going down, I'll be smart. No, not smart enough to beat that one. So that was kind of lame. But you know, cut the loser quick, and here we are. And today's been fine. So, like that's the funny thing is like Like one day could be bad, next day could be completely fine. But if you don't really give yourself that shot at coming back the next day, like you have never idea. And sometimes it's just the market. Sometimes the market's just crap. Just like the other day. Remember like 2 days ago, I'm like, there's no penny stock. There's nothing. We're not gonna do anything. Or whatever, right? And sure enough, there really wasn't a whole lot of great stuff moving around. And that was when the market was tanking, right? Like this past couple, like this, like when the market was doing all this. Yeah, it was, and like that day, like there wasn't a whole lot going on. Like penny stocks are kind of garbage, right? But if you see so far today, I mean, we've had a couple good movers, right? We've had a couple things kind of work in our favor. And look at the system. The system's back on the positive side. So liquidity has been coming back into the market over the past couple days. We saw some movement in penny stocks yesterday, kind of missed a few of them. And actually, what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of rotation into very cheap penny stocks. And that's probably because it's all in anticipation of the winter season. Penny stocks get hot in the winter season. It's we're coming into December. Yeah, we're coming into December. So what we've been noticing over the past couple weeks is what I feel is a rotation into some of the cheaper penny stocks. I've been seeing a lot of like the sub dollar penny stocks moving. And that could very well be an anticipation and setting up the market for the winter penny stock season when we see multi-day runners, supernovas, big booming ones, right? Right now, the people that control the markets and manipulate things could very well be basically getting in now, if you will, on the stocks they know are going to be pre-planned movers. And when I say pre-planned, you can believe it or not believe it. It helps me rationalize things. But yeah, so I'm starting to see a lot of movement into the sub penny stocks, which I feel will probably end up becoming some of them, not all of them, right? You never know, but you can just kind of see it, right? The sub pennies are kind of starting to pick up. It could very well be that slow accumulation into the winter season. Then we're going to see the multi runners and the supernovas coming around in the next couple months. So the next couple months is where you're going to want to be a little bit more active, paying a little bit more attention to the penny stock market. You're not going to catch them all. Don't chase them all. Don't even try to catch them all. Just do the same thing that we're doing on the stream every day, and you just pretty much watch when they go into uptrends and just try to do your best to get in as close as you can to when the uptrend starts. Limit your risk, and that's pretty much all you can do, right? Don't chase them up high. That's stupid. The CETY is interesting. I mean, it's got a ton of volume today. I haven't really looked at the news. Let's see. Secures 10 million battery. Yes. The company is going to kill it on this new battery technology. Yes. Secures 10 million battery because I keep trying to read battery and energy in the same battery energy storage project in New York. First multiple large-scale system expected. Where am I at? Battery energy storage system. Where the hell did that go? I don't know. Largest project today, first several, blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, I don't even know what that is and what they do. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't know. All I know is the stock went into an uptrend today. It's got some news. I don't know. Hopefully, the people that pump the news and whatever, they want it to go higher and they just manipulate the stock up. Like, that's all we can ask for. Granted, it's got an absolute metric ton of volume, which means two things. Either they're going to pump the living poop out of it, living poop. They're going to pump it or they're going to dump it. I don't know. When I say dump it, I just mean if a penny stock is going up, right, it's got a ton of volume, right? Either it's legitimate in the sense that yeah, the market does want to move it higher, or the market has been given an opportunity to liquidate a bunch of shares onto the retail public. Sometimes for me, I have no clue which it is really at the end of the day, right? So I just see a stock going to an uptrend, I'm going to try to go up, right? Now it's got a ton of volume. Either it's getting liquidated into or it's going to pump. One of the two, right? Wish I knew. And that's another thing too, if you think about it, here's, clean energy technologies. They got a 10, what is it, $10 million battery energy storage system project in New York State. The award represents company's largest storage project to date. So it seems like it's an award. Now, regardless of it's an award or not, they are still receiving 10 million, right? So, for example, you can estimate pricing of stock based off of news if news has to do or directly ties into money and earnings reflected. All right, let me explain. For some of you, you may not know this, but I'm assuming most of you do, which is when a stock gets bought out, or sorry, a company gets bought out, other company, an acquisition, etc., they come in, they buy out one company at a agreed upon price. So we'll just say that somebody wanted to come in and buy Connor's YouTube stream. He wants to buy me out, and he says he's going to buy me out for $1 million, right? And I have only one publicly traded share of my company, and he decides to buy me out. That means Connor's YouTube stream price per share value will jump to what? 1 million, right? If someone says, "Hey, Connor, buy your company out for $1 million. How many shares do you have?" I go, "I have one." Okay, cool. I'm gonna buy it out. That one share goes to a valuation of $1 million per one share. Reflected on the stock market would be just that. Price of stock is now valued at 1 million, right? If there was four shares, right? If we had four shares, stock would be valued at $250,000 a share. All right. So when you look at something like CETY, it's gone up to $2.50 today. On news that arguably they were going to get awarded, they're getting awarded 10 million. Now you must ask yourself, do you think that the valuation of $2.50 on that stock today is in lockstep with a $10 million award? Remember, it's an award to create a project, right? So are they really even making 10 million? Probably not. They're getting awarded $10 million to maybe go start a new project that then could bring in money. So, yeah, that's some good news. Maybe it's good for the future, for future projections, but in this exact moment, does CETY even make $10 million? No. $10 million is going right onto their books. I mean, theoretically, they just made 10 million today, but that 10 million will get spent. So when you look at the valuation of CETY today, you see it goes up to 250. All right. You then take $2.50 and go see how many outstanding shares they have in the market, right? And then you can figure out how much the market cap went up by today. And if the market cap went up more than $10 million, then theoretically the market is overpricing the news. Or the market is in it, and if it goes up by more than 10 million market cap, then it's the market pricing in the future projections of earnings based off of the projects that they have ongoing and also the new project that will become of the $10 million award, right? Now, do you know? I don't. I don't study CETY, but basic logic points me in that direction, which is news says $10 million award. At most, the company just went up by $10 million today in terms of earnings. At most, the company should only increase its market cap by $10 million based off that news, unless there is people or a group of a bunch of people that really think this $10 million award is supposed to make, I don't know what let's see what their market cap went up by. I'm not sure what it is, but I can figure it out. Just give me a second. So this is a great topic. I'm having fun discussing this because this is like, it's actually kind of fun. It's a little bit more deep. It gives you a great idea of, when stuff is getting way too overbought, if you're even buying a realistic price based off of news. So CETY, wait, what is going on here? Oh, there it is. All right. So CETY, it's got outstanding shares is 4.6 million, right? So only 4.66 million. And this morning, the stock was priced at before its breakout. Let's see. The price was 1.1. So company has a valuation of like four, wait, what did I say? 1.1, 4.66. So was that 460 or not 460, 4.66 million. So the company's worth maybe 5 million if we're looking at outstanding shares and the price per share this morning before the breakout. Now, we increased the stock um 121%. So the market cap in theory would have gone up more than 100%. So we took the company from basically 5 million to 10 million. So we took it from 5 million valuation to a 10 million, arguably, but I'm going to double check that with a price of 250. So where's my handy dandy calculator? Google. What do we say they had at 4.664 uh, times by. So the company at $2.50 a share would have jumped up to, if I did that correct, which it's been a while since I've done it, but that is correct. Almost $12 million valuation, which if you think about a $10 million reward, right? And then the company goes up to 250, now the company's worth about 12 million. I mean, if the company beforehand was only worth 5 million, valued at a dollar, and we ran it up to 250, we brought the valuation close to 12 million. I mean, I think the market did a pretty fair job at pricing it in today, right? I would say the move to 250 was pretty legit, actually, because we pretty much gave the company a $12 million valuation today off their news of a $10 million award. So if today, right? Again, if today you guys gave me $10 million for my company and I haven't spent any of it, then theoretically my company would have $10 million and my valuation would be 10 million, right? So something to think about. Um, and then also, it's not perfect, it's not exact, right? Because prior to the award, the company's valuation is like four something million, right? With the outstanding share count. 5 million, right, with the outstanding share count. So if you're like, well, if you had 5 million before the news, right, you're valued at 5 mil before the news, and then we gave you 10, shouldn't you be valued somewhere close to 15? So why only go to 250, right? Well, I mean, how much of that 10 million award are they going to keep? Or how much is going to go to expense, right? I mean, it's sort of like some battery project in New York. So obviously that $10 million has to be used to make this project come to life. So they're not going to keep all the 10 million, if any of it, right? So why would I value the company this morning with the $10 million award, um, and bring the market cap up to 15 million if I know without a doubt that $10 million is going to get spent, right? So maybe we don't value it at 15 million. Maybe we only value it 12, knowing that for sure they're going to spend at least 3, 4, or 5 million of the 10 million to make the project come to life, at least off rip, right? So that's how, in theory, you can think about these things, and not look at the price of stock going up and be, totally emotional about it. There is some logic behind this stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Hope you like that. No way. 11 viewers this morning. I thought certainly after that whole spiel of how you figure out market cap and why stocks may go up to X price based off of when you see news of money coming in and then make it make sense, I thought for certain YouTube was gonna just, just bring in the peeps so they could learn it, but no, we got to go back to teaching bull flags. God darn it. Gosh darn it. Those bull flags, they get us every time. The enemy of my enemy is my enemy. Wait, does that even make sense? All right, so enough of that spiel. We've already hit that pretty good. You guys have just became finance majors in, 1 hour. Look at that. Look at that. Crazy. So yeah, stock market's just basically doing nothing, right? It's you know, meh. Now, again, you guys already know this. Like we said, we don't really expect a trending market until what? Till we get above or below the high and low that I have mapped off on this chart. You guys already know. We already discussed this, that this is all supposed to basically be chop, right? Until the market figures itself out. When does that happen? Don't know, but the expectation right now is that we are not necessarily looking for mega follow through up. We're not necessarily looking for mega follow through down. Which let me rephrase that. Once we start to identify false crosses in the market, um, which we have here and arguably there, then we expect that when we go over the 50 SMA, it's going to go for a bit and then it's going to revert back down. And then we may go bearish for a little bit and then it's going to revert back up and then that and that until one day we're above or below. Whoa, why did it do that? That's weird. I don't even know how it might. That is okay. So now you're just going to stay on that. What? Sometimes I don't understand. Yeah, so pretty much until we get outside of the high or low, we're not really looking for a trending move, if you will. Arguably, the market could trend all the way up and then fall back down, right, and go all the way down to here. And so it can trend from low to high, but we're not really looking for a trend until we're outside of that stuff. All right, so basically expect kind of, maybe an annoying market for the next couple weeks. Um, that's kind of what I foresee taking place here. And maybe not the next couple weeks, but just in general. And I can give you an example back from like here too, right? Like, like this is kind of a good one, right? Like, this is arguably clean markets, right? So like up, SMA stays above, then we go down, SMA stays below, down, then we go up, break above, SMA, everything stays up, we go up, um, we go up. Sorry, up. And then look what happens. We have SMA go below 50, SMA down, SMA go below 50, SMA up. All right, now that's two back-to-back false crosses in a short period of time. Real no trending move afterwards. Then what do? We map the high and the low off from there to there. So right when we start to get those false signals, we then map the high and the low off. And then we tell ourselves there's going to be chop, and the only time we're going to look for a trending move is when we start to get above or below that zone, all right? So fast forward a bit, what do we have? We have another move down, right? False move down, and then another false move up, or still inside the range, and then we have another move down. SMA stays down, we break zone, clapped. All right. Then what happens? We go back and pretty much do the same thing. Ready? So then we have a trending move down, SMA stays down, we eventually oversold, we bounce, right? And then we have a move up, right? So SMA crosses up, does not, well, it kind of stays up, right? And then we go back down. SMA crosses down. So that's arguably two back-to-back crosses in a short period of time that really don't amount to much. So arguably what we're going to do, we're going to map off the high and the low of that move. So here goes high. And this one's a little tricky. I might look at this a couple different ways, but like I would take this low and I would just use this major low as a secondary. And then we pretty much say to ourselves, once we get above or below this with acceptance, that's where the trend move takes place, right? So let's see. All right. So we get another move down and then another move up, right back to the highs. And this one tries to kind of reverts back down, etc. Then eventually, and you might even call this one kind of the new high because it still did another false cross. Then what happens? You eventually break the range. There's your trend move, right? So it's when you start to see those back-to-back crosses, you got to start thinking markets are going to be a little tricky. They're not going to be as easy, maybe not as trendy, but that's okay. The time will come when they eventually kind of go back to easier movement, if you will. All right. So, anyways, you guys know the jam. You know the jam is the jammy jams. The jammy jams. Man, such a busy chat. I swear I'm gonna have to start paying for some bots on this channel. It's the only way we're gonna get people to talk. and actually help grow our channel. Which, by the way, it literally, basically our channel needs you guys to grow, just an FYI. So if you want to spread the wealth and spread the good news. I basically need you guys to chat. It's actually most important in the first couple minutes of the stream that you guys interact and you keep interacting because YouTube then sees it as a cool, fun stream and engaging. So realistically, without you guys, the stream can't grow. And I really would like it to grow because then obviously we can spread the word of, good stuff to hopefully the beginners. I mean, that's really the objective of this stream is to reach the kid that's just thinking about starting trading today. So we can tell them, don't. First learn the system. And then if after that you want to go down this long, brutal path, so be it. But don't do it because you think and see some kid on YouTube flashing his Lambo or telling you can make millions of dollars trading very quickly. That is all pretty much false and inaccurate, right? So we're hopefully trying to take them to the truth first, and to the light first, as opposed to darkness. Grow, I like it. I love it. So, yeah, here we are. I didn't really use my notepad today, but whatever. Damn. That Fox is up 41%. That's lit. Let's see. What are the daily? Daily is positive. Weekly is positive. Trying to. Yeah, I don't know. Fox is up. I have Fox up 41%. And I just don't know if I'm supposed to sell it, hold it. So I'm kind of evaluating. Six trend. The 4 hours is not even really overbought. The daily is not really that much overbought. I'm just gonna hold it. It's, I don't know, arguably might be one that goes all the way to +4. So maybe this shit goes all the way to 9, 10. I don't know. But I guess there's probably really no point of selling it right now. It's still strong. It's not below the 30 minute. It's not even below a 5 minute. And it's not even below a 1 minute. So it's not even downtrending on literally any time frame right now. So probably no point to sell, I guess. Oh, actually, you know what? I just thought of something. Or didn't I? Let me see. Dang, son, 10:35. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. Oh, tired. Always tired. That's the problem when you don't sleep good. When you don't sleep good. Take me back to the days of being a teenager. Literally. Just fall asleep. Just like a rock. Just be out for hours and hours and hours, and then wake up and be like, oh, that was lovely. That was lovely. But no, no. Now we just roll around all night in a bed, just waiting to get up, speak to people on a YouTube screen, you know? Take me back to the days where I could actually sleep. All right. Got an HVAC appointment at 12 o'clock today. You know what I mean, guys? 12 o'clock HVAC. Hopefully that goes well. Probably not. The quotes that I've been getting are absolutely insane. Probably should go into the HVAC business at this rate. Start slinging HVAC machines. All right. So, assuming that the stock market is up, but it's little changed, we should still assume that basically the market is bullish for the moment. So let's take a little gander at that. But I'm assuming most of it's going to be bullish. Stock market news today. Let's see. Hmm. Mixed. Yeah, makes sense. So for once, well, not for once, but yeah, pretty much is stating that the market is mixed right now. But then again, I mean, really, we haven't put on any gains today. But you can see it's not bearish news, right? So if we look at most of the news this morning, NASDAQ mixes retail sales inflation data in focus. Stock market down, S&P futures wobble with retail sales inflation data. Do they wobble? Because not really. I mean, market's just flat. U.S. stock futures dip, tech fueled rally, markets wrap. Oh, I mean, they did dip. NASDAQ retreats one day after a big rally. Did the NASDAQ really retreat one day after a big rally? I mean, that was 14 minutes ago that guy posted that. Whoever posted that. All right. I mean, it did retreat back to support. See, that's another thing too. Like, look at that. So it's funny because you get this news article. It says NASDAQ retreats one day after big rally. And we know what? We know that that's just a back test of support. And that's a very common thing that we would expect to see, right? Look at market up, pulls back to support. So that's just straight up algorithmic trading you're seeing. And as a result, someone at CNBC tells you that the Nasdaq is retreating. Well, yeah, I mean it's kind of going down, but it's just going down back to support, right? And then getting bought up so far, right? So the market's still positive, right? The market actually hasn't retreated. The market is just testing whether or not it wants to stay positive or actually flip negative, right? And if in the event we actually flip negative, then we get a sell-off, and then that's where the news is flip bearish. So we already know that that right there, that's where the news transitions from bullish to bearish, right? You already know exactly what's going to happen. If it goes below, that's where the news flips bearish. If it doesn't, then news is predominantly going to stay bullish, which right now they're kind of getting mixed news articles. And that's because since our breakout yesterday, we haven't really been able to force the markets up too much today. So yeah, it's kind of mixed, but market's not bearish right now. It's not. The VIX isn't, well, I don't even have the VIX up, but, or I do, it's right there. Yeah, so the VIX popped a little bit, but market's going up now. So again, market's not really bearish. We had a pullback to start the morning, back to supports. We're getting bought up again. You know, unless the VIX breaks out or market goes into a downtrend, we stay up. Now, to start the day, we did have some intermarket internals selling off, right? So what we say? In the immediate, markets aren't going to go up right now. In the immediates, markets aren't going to go up right now. Since then, what's happened? We started bouncing some of those market internals. So markets are now going up in the immediate. They're going up within the swing long, etc. Right? So this is just typical stuff. This is very, I mean, same thing repeats every week. every day. Alrighty. Well, we just here. Oh, wait 1 second. So pretty much, CETY is pretty much doing nothing now. AUTL doing nothing for the moment. And then what was the other one? LNAI. So essentially all of those stocks from the moment we mentioned them all performed decent enough to make some sort of gain on those uptrend starts. CETY went as high as like a 30% gain or something like that. LNAI has reversed back down under support, so no longer in that one. Not even in AUTL, not even in CETY, so I don't have any of those on. But just know anytime I mention a stock too, that basically as soon as it pops up, starts going green, I'm usually going to deleverage, put on some sort of easy risk, and then go from there. Oh my gosh, the stock market is going up, folks. Who would have freaking thought? Once again, the undefeated, undisputed system of the stock market. One SMA, one time frame to rule them all. Market is just straight up gumping out, dude. Getting all gumpy on. Oh yeah, sorry, forgot to mention about Bitcoin today. Yeah, so Bitcoin obviously retraced back to basically where we said it was gonna go to, which is just VWAP stuff. So ready, we're gonna toss that VWAP on like, oh my goodness. See that? So that was our first counter target for Bitcoin right there, that VWAP. So we hit that one last night, yesterday. So that's what it looks like when we zoom in. Oh, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Come on. There you go. So as we said before, market was settling down. Yesterday, we're getting long MSTR in the hopes that Bitcoin was just going to go up. It did. It went up to our first counter target. So that would be T1 complete. And there's the pullback off D1. All right. Now, basically, if this thing's going to go higher, it needs to get above here and then squeeze out. Right. So until that happens, hasn't happened. Now, let me just double check this. So now we would start following the volume weighted average prices up on this bounce. This one's going to be a little tricky just because of the way it's been developed, but I don't like it when they're like this. It just kind of is what it is, though, which basically means you have a low point all the way down there, and then we would also be tracking from here, and then we'd be tracking from here. So basically, our first support over under comes in right there, and then our secondaries, which would come in down there. So we'll just call that first zone, and then this would be second, which is down there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So for Bitcoin to go higher, it's got to be above here. All right, so it's got to be above the yellow on the top. The current pullback, higher low, daily potential support level for Bitcoin would be right here, which we kind of pulled back to yesterday almost. All right, and can still go higher. If below here, then we look to that one. If below there, we might look lower, etc. So again, it's just kind of an interesting way that that market's set up for the moment, but that's it. So, yep. Ugh. Anything else good? What's going on in this? What else we got going on here, huh? Anything decent? LNAI pooped out. KS Cessna. ICON. Wait. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, nope. CETY. Just doing not a whole lot, but interesting nonetheless. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just sitting going through text messages because, you know, not a whole lot else to do here, folks. We've covered the market exactly as it needed to be covered. We've gone through Bitcoin. You have all the Bitcoin levels, you have all the stock market levels. We picked three stocks today that had decent movement on them. One was better than the others, but what you gonna do? So pick three decent penny stock plays, given all Bitcoin levels, all stock market levels, and so far we've kept everybody probably in the right side of the playing field, which is it's still a long bias market today. Haven't been signaled for a full-blown sell-off, and we're kind of in a choppy market. And so far, market has gone down, then gone up, and come back down today. So far market is chopping today. So yeah, I would say everything's pretty much worked out as it should. I wouldn't say there's anything that happened today that doesn't really make a lot of sense. All right. Think it's probably a good time to end it here, folks. It's not a whole lot more we can do other than repeat everything we've already repeated pretty much. So yeah. What's that Fox doing now? Fox now up 52.79% on that swing. Yeah, buddy. So, yeah. All I have to say is hopefully you guys have a great evening. I'll catch you back tomorrow morning. And have a great Thanksgiving. If I don't, I don't see anyone ever. Have a great Thanksgiving if you're not here tomorrow. Cheers.